this right. Donald Trump just declared a state of emergency on electricity today. So if Donald Trump just declared a state of emergency on electricity, saying that thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people could be without power, what does that mean for people like me? I just paid my electric bill just a couple hours ago. If there's a state of emergency, shouldn't I get my money back if we actually lose power? As a matter of fact, speaking of getting money back when you lose power, shouldn't we get our money back if we have a hurricane in Texas, these crazy thunderstorms and stuff, and our power goes down for 4 or 5 days? Why the heck is our bill still the same? So now a state of emergency has been declared after I paid my electric bill. So let me get this right. Maybe I shouldn't have paid my electric bill because we're going to lose electricity regardless. Listen, man, we're living in times now where you don't know what's going to happen. When he took office, he said that the grid was so old and outdated that he couldn't even believe it. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, man. But this is scary to me, bro. A state of emergency on electricity. I'm thinking about calling the power company and seeing if they'll debit that $220 back to me. That's crazy. If I knew that it was going to be a state of emergency declared on electricity, I wouldn't have paid the darn bill, man. I would have went and bought me some lottery tickets. That doesn't make sense to me. If we're going to lose power anyway, why pay a bill?
Emergency. Because Ontario. So today, Trump declared a national emergency because Ontario set a 25% tariff on all electricity coming into the U.S., which affects 3 U.S. states in a big way: New York, Minnesota, and Michigan, which of course also has Trump now issuing retaliatory tariffs again against Canada. This is right out of Trump's playbook. Create the problem and then declare a national emergency, and then solve the problem so you can nominate yourself as a hero in the situation. But most people can see right through this. Many of us are exhausted at the chaos here in the U.S. Many people all over the world are exhausted at the chaos that this president is creating. And just as a reminder, Canada has been one of our biggest allies historically, and leave it to Trump to trash that entirely. So
Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Makakwadash, this Yakim Julazel, back with another quick lesson. And you can see by the 2 opening clips, it's talking about what brothers been talking about, starting first and foremost. Our teachers been referring to information that's been, given to them through the spirit, of what they have in plan, man. But see, these devils are crafty. They want to blame it on, the infrastructure. They want to blame it on, things that have these people believing that, it must be something wrong with the infrastructure. It must be, poorly maintenance. But where's all the taxpayer money that comes to, making sure these vital points like the electricity, the electrical grid, the water, power plants, things of that nature. Where's the taxpayers' monies where these things supposed to be maintained, money supposed to be spent to keep these items like that maintained, man. But actually it's an agenda that these devils have in plan. And, I used to know, because it used to be a hot topic, some years back, but due to all this recent information and things of that nature, you tend to maybe get absent-minded of the names of these certain agendas at one point in time because it was a hot topic, some years ago, and I just can't recall the name of the agenda in detail, but nonetheless, I had pulled this up at Chat GPT, and I just put in red list, blue list, purple list, green list, conspiracy, because that's what they call a conspiracy theory, right? But you could tell it's not, because you got this guy now, the administration are talking about declaring a state of or a national emergency on electricity, man. And I'm just going to it. It says it sounds like it sounds like you were referring to a set of conspiracy theories or lists often used to categorize people, groups, or activities. The terms red list, blue list, purple list, and green list can vary depends on the context, but there's a breakdown of some of a but here's a breakdown of some of the common associations that come up in conspiracy theory circles. It says red list typically refers to individuals who are considered enemies or threats to a particular group or agenda. In some conspiracy theories, the red list contains people who will be targeted for elimination or suppression during a large-scale societal collapse or under some kind of authority regime, or under some kind of authoritarian regime. But actually, they want to orchestrate, in the, like they were saying, there's going to be pockets of blackouts, like certain regions or certain cities. We're going to experience blackout, this city, this state, etc. And then they said eventually it's going to be a nationwide blackout. So we know these things to be true, and it's an agenda that these devils have, man. But they're going to blame it on the electrical grid is poorly maintained, is old. But where's the money that's set aside, the taxpayers' money that are set aside to make these, to keep these vital sources, like the, electrical grid is a vital source of society to keep it functional. You would think there were, protocols to keep those structures maintained, or like the water, there's regular maintenance checkups and things to make sure these things are intact, man, because these are vital signs to keep society, sustainable, right? But we know that there are agenda. These people want to call it conspiracy. A lot of this stuff that are happening now, there was once upon a time were called conspiracies, man. But we know these things to be true. Blue list, it says it's like a blue list. This one can vary, but often the blue list refers to individuals who are seen as neutral or in some way moderate. In some theories, blue list individuals might be those who are targeted for re-education or brainwashing, or may be considered as useful tools in the system. It says purple list, less common, but could refer to individuals who are seen as on the fence in their allegiance to a cause or agenda, or might be people who could go either way in a situation. The purple could symbolize a mix of opposing forces, blue and red. It says green list, often seen as a list of people who are seen as potential allies, perhaps because they are considered useful to the powers that be in the conspiracy theory scenario. Sometimes green lists could refer to people seen as prepared or those who are deemed to have the resources or mindset to thrive under certain conditions. These lists are often associated with dystopian or authoritarian conspiracy theories where society is divided into different groups for control, elimination, or manipulations. So we know this country, Babylon the Great, aka America, is what divided, man, heavily, man, But in general, we know that these devils, which is the elites amongst Esau Edom, has their own agenda. And that is what? A global reset, for them to attempt to regain their footing, man, to regain their power, man, because their grip on this world is not as fastened as they had it at one point, man. So they want to, eliminate certain things, but there's process, there's steps to it. You know what I'm saying? As our elders teach, a lot of brothers mention, it's called gradualism, man. They want to gradually nudge people in a certain direction so it will look like this transition in life is something, normal. You know what I'm saying? We once were using, carriage and horses and wagons. Now we moved on to the automobile, planes, trains, and etc. You know what I'm saying? So this is nothing more than gradualism. But no, it's not, man. It's an agenda that these devils have to attempt to control everything in the world, man. They want complete control. And these, look out. That's what we're doing. We're preparing because we know we know who we're working with, man. We're working with, this is the devil, man. So we're preparing for what could possible or could potentially happen, man. And it's potentially that these devils in the cloak of dark, these blackouts, they can round up, people start to disappear, man. People who they seem to be deemed to be threatened, cause and I believe it can be true because where I live at right now, and I have seen other people testimonies by these social media platforms. They say, man, look, it's like when you walk outside, you're surrounded by a bunch of fucking weirdos, man. Like when I was young coming up, you knew you had these people that was weird, then you had people that you knew that, you could talk to, like, these people is, but now it's like I'm surrounded by a bunch of fucking weirdos, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's not far-fetched that they were, the people that are conscious, you're considered a threat because you see, then you got these people that go with the flow. They're going to go with it. Then you got some people that say, man, I'm on the side of the conspirators, man. The one that's conspiring. The real conspiracy is an idea. When people say conspiracy theory, they think this some type of made up thing, man. But that's why they got, in a legal sense, they got the word conspiracy, man. You know what I'm saying? You got these people that are you got the ones that are red list that are deemed to be threat to the Like they said, the shadow government, as they call it, the elites. Then you got those that are, more or less like on the fence. They could potentially be brainwashed, Then you got ones that are just, hey man, we with the conspirators, the shadow government. So there's levels, and these people, for the most part, they know who is who, and it's more than likely, man. It's possible, it's plausible that in in the midst of these blackouts, that's what these devils would be doing, man. Because look, they're already sending the National Guard in to certain various cities. It won't be far fetched that these devils start, actually moving in with their agenda, man. So they to eliminate the more process of, the greater chance of rebellion. They start eliminate people. They start eliminating people, man. You know what I'm saying? Taking people out of the equation. More or less the people that are hip to what they're attempting to do. But anyway, this place right here, we know it has different names, and these things that are happening now, like say for instance, these blackouts. This is nothing. Even though we know more or less this is man-made, but nonetheless, there's nothing new under the sun, man. And this place right here is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. So just like in ancient Egypt, which is Mizraim, these things are going to happen here also. I'm going to just read a precept, man. In the book of Exodus, chapter 10, verse 21. And it talks about, the blackouts. And it says, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. So we know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushua, whether it be man-made, these events that are happening here happened before, man. Like events that we know that are approaching, man. Lord willing, they're just like the Lord said, which we know. The Lord said He's going to speed up the time for the elect saints. These events are coming fast. That's what we hope, man, because we're patiently waiting for the deliverance of the elect and what the destruction of Salakia, the destruction of this place, man. But just like in ancient Egypt, which this place is spiritual Egypt, Babylon the Great, aka America, has many names. Basra, which is the capital of Esau, Edom. Nineveh, due to its exports, imports. But we're hoping, and that's what we are, prisoners of hope, that the Lord speed up this time, man, because, starting with the elders, I know they're anxious, man, but we see the paint, what is the writings on the wall? We see everything, man. Everything is falling in place of what? Prophecy, man. So these events happen prior to what? The children of Israel being what? Delivered from the oppressor. It was, heavy darkness fell upon this land. So these are plagues that the Lord are sending, like the Lord sent in ancient Egypt, Mizraim, prior to what? The release or the deliverance of the children of Israel namely on this side, the elect, these events will happen again, man. You know, these plagues that the Lord was going to send, he sent them once, he's going to send them again, man. The Lord delivered his people once, and many times before. It's going to happen again, man. You know, actually, the Lord delivered his people out of all these captivities, man. You know, but there are prominent ones that in Egypt, you know, but nonetheless, that's what we're patiently waiting, and we know these are plagues, just like what we see with like I went to the store today. This common item that I get, you know, it's a carton, you know, of I'm gonna just say a carton of beverage. Man, normally the joint it will cost what, $1 and some change, maybe $1.99 or something like that. It joint went up to it's already over $4 now, man, for one carton, man. You know, so we know these times are coming, man. You know, inflation, shrinkflation, you know, hyperinflation. We see these things are coming, man. You know, which will lead to what? All our famine, man. A lack of a limited supply of resources, mainly necessities, food and water, man. So we are preparing spiritually, man. You know, through the Spirit, we are preparing what's to come for, what the Lord has had to come for, man. The Lord is preparing this place for the deliverance of his elect. So before the deliverance of the elect, plagues are going to be unleashed in this place, man, just like times before, man. I'm going to read this again. The book of Exodus 10 at 22, it says, "And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days," man. You know what I'm saying? So like these plagues happen once, they're going to happen again, man. You know, so we're looking for we see the signs, and the Lord gave his watchmen, Lord willing, we those men, signs to watch for, you know, for the coming of the deliverance of the elect of Yahweh Yahweh Shai, man. And I'm going to end the lesson off there. Hope the body was edifying. You know, I meant to do this because like it was on the 14th and it's been, you know, a couple of days. It's just that, you know, through the Spirit, you know, things were, the hindrance of other things, you know, I got to work on, prevented me from touching on that topic on the 14th. But, you know, the Wadi Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai was able to get to it today. But Lord willing, man, this lesson will edify. Till next time, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakak Wadash. Again, this year, Akim Majulazil, Lord willing. I'll be back with another lesson. Till next time, Shalom, Barakatah, and a Baba Shalom.